You're watching Detroit's own WHPR TV. Detroit Live.
Thank you, Father, for this day. Teach me to say something that will help your children. Forgive me of my transgressions. I thank you for this time allotted to me. My name is Naomi Miller. Formerly, I did the Word Alive and apply it, but now I am doing We Can Read Now. Many people are waiting on the rapture. They are waiting on their wings. They are waiting on the trumpet to sound so that they can rush to get their wings. Imagine a big crowd rushing to the dispensary, pushing and shoving. They are in a hurry. Wings, as we know them, has feathers. Can you see the feathers being blown by the wind and falling? In our world, we would have to locate our size. There may be wings for men, wings for women, wings for boys and wings for girls and little babies. There may even be different colors. You may get so fantasized with the wings that you wouldn't make it to heaven. Well, have you ever thought about where this idea came from? My favorite song was I'll Fly Away. Well, it started with false teaching. Someone who wanted all of the rewards of today, but had you thinking about the future. The future, something, someplace beyond where there was no sorrow, no work, no pain, a place that would outlive present suffering. Let's get to reality. If you believe the Bible, have you ever heard of an angel flying in? Think about it. All of the angels that you read about in the Bible were men. When people saw them, they were there. It seems that in our haste to find a solution, we have made many wrong choices. 2 Peter 1:20 tells you, knowing this, that no prophecy of the scripture is of any private interpretation. For the prophecy came not in old times by the will of man, but by holy men of God, spake as they were moved by the Holy Spirit. Jesus tells us that no man knows except the Father when the end is coming. We have scriptures that tell us things that will be happening in the end. We are going to look at Matthew's version, Matthew chapter 24. Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, but the end is not yet. Nations shall rise against nations, and kingdoms against kingdoms. And there will be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All of these things are the beginning of sorrow. Then they shall deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you. You shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Many shall betray one another, and many false prophets shall come and deceive many, and because of iniquity love shall wax cold, and the gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in the world for witnesses to all nations. When we therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, there will be a great tribulation. If God didn't shorten the time, there would be no flesh left. These false prophets will show great signs and wonders, But when the Son of Man come, it will be like white lightning to all. Everyone will see it. Paul's version of the same incident is found in 2 Thessalonians, the second chapter, beginning with the first verse. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, and by our gathering together with him, that you be not soon shaken in mind or be troubled, neither by spirit or word, nor by letter, as from us, as the day of Christ is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there become a falling away first, and that the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. The fourth verse says, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, or that is worship, so that he, as God, is sitting in the temple of the God, saying that he is God and showing himself as God. This is Satan's last stand, and you can finish reading this if you want to. They tell us about this in Mark, and they tell us about it in Daniel, and in lots of places in the Old Testament. So just be ready. Do what you're supposed to do. You know what God told you, so do what you are supposed to do. I had a plan to tell you something else before Charlottesville, Virginia came. I was going to talk about something else, but today is my youngest daughter's birthday. But that's not, my teacher told me don't talk about my kids and don't talk about myself. But I have to tell you, my granddaughter was a student teacher in that college down there in Charlottesville, and she was 32 years old. And they said that a 32-year-old lady got killed. And so until I saw that picture of that white lady, I thought it probably was my granddaughter. So I really hated because that lady got killed, but I sure was glad that it wasn't my granddaughter. First of all, politics. That's what this is all about. Politics there are 4 hidden dynasties that we all deal with. And one of them is politics. The other one is education, religion, and the economic system. I don't want to talk too much about politics because this is a Bible class, but all these things affect our lives. I agree with Maxine Waters of California, what she said about DT. I'm talking about Donald Trump. Then I hate to admit that Donald Trump is right about pulling down statues in America. A statue can do you no harm. It is a likeness of an animal or some other imaginable thing that man has in mind. We have been around the world in books, news media, TV, history books, and have seen the pyramids of Egypt, the statues of God, drawings of Jesus, and imaginable things that are space fillers. Some took years to make. Some was one man's dream, but others, the man was making it for a price. Let's get real. This art history is whatever label you want to put on it. It is not harmful within itself. So it really doesn't matter if we had all these statues around in our neighborhood. They do offend some people because we get offended about things. I wonder, do you know the difference between a statue and a statue? I want to show you the difference. The Constitution of the United States, I want to show you the spelling of it. A statute is spelled S-T-A-T-U-E, and a statute is spelled S-T-A-T-U-T-E. The difference is the Constitution of the United States of America is an statute. The preamble is one. It must have took geniuses to make that. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish the justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do establish this Constitution for the United States of America. It took geniuses to write this. I believe that God had to take a moment to think. It had a bit of relevance to his law, and you know his law are the Ten Commandments. What does we the people mean? Who and what are you talking about? Blacks helped in every war to defend this country. Self-grown enemies, are you teaching your posterity to hate people who don't look like them? To the blacks, do you belong to two groups? One that says Black Lives Matter and another that has self-hate, where you kill one or two of our futures in the evening, like in Chicago, Kansas City, Detroit, St. Louis, and a whole lot of other places I can't think about. Do you know the difference between real life and reality? You see, we have all of this technology, but if we use them for toys instead of tools, if we make laws and don't follow them, they can hurt, destroy, and devastate. A statue is an inordinate object. The statue that they was pulling down in Clarksville, it would hurt nobody. It just would insult a lot of people. So, but the other statue and the other statue that the United States government made, they keep trying to count us out. Every time they try to count us out, God counts us in. Even with Donald Trump, he has tried everything to wipe Obama's name out of history. But every time he counted out, God counted in, because the people start saying, "I want Obamacare." The more then he think of something else to try to get Obama's name off the list. Then they said, "Well, we want this. Oh, Mr. Obama did this. Mr. Obama did that." So God has told us, if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive them of their sins, and I will heal their land. So that is where we are. If we turn to God, God is trying to count us in, but we keep on trying to count our own self out. Then in the United States, they tried to keep us from going to school so that we couldn't learn. But God told you, if any of you lack wisdom, ask me, ask God, that giveth to man liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. So if you ask God for knowledge, he will give it to you, because you know we did all the things in the United States. You know, we were in Africa, our father's land. We was naked, but we were contented out on the Oregon sand. The Anglo-Saxons bought us here. That was their price to pay. They have brought us to this country, and now we are here to stay. And God keep counting us in, and we're going to count God's blessing, because God said, "Whosoever will, let him come." So if we come to God, He will accept us with open arms. And so that's what we need to do. We need to depend on God. We don't need to depend on anybody else. I want to tell you about the statue. You remember the statue that God made, the Ten Commandments. You know, the first 5 commandments were God's relationship with man. But the next 5, the other 5, they are man's relationship with man. And they go, thou shalt have no other God before me. That is God's relationship with man. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image. Well, you know, a statue is a graven image. They used to make the statues out of wood, but now they make them out of metal, or we have new things that the statues are made out of. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord in vain. Remember honor your father and your mother. He put honor your father and mother is one of the 5 with God's relationship with man. Then the relationship between man and man says, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet thy neighbors or anything that is thy neighbors. So we need to think about that. You know, when we are out here stealing, not only us, other people steal. We steal little bitty things, but you know the people who are in power, they really steal a lot. Most of the time they don't get caught and put in jail for it. But we usually get caught and put in jail for the little things that we steal. We steal little things like we could steal $5 and get 32 years in prison. And they steal I don't know what, and then they get a lawyer and get out of it. So God is trying to count us in, and so we have some things to do. We have to obey God. It's time for us. We can read now, and we know that there are things that we have to do. Have you ever thought about, we live in the ghetto. Do you think that when we get to heaven that it's going to be a ghetto up there? Or do you think we're going to have to get up? Do you think we're going to have a job up in heaven that we're going to have to do some cleaning up and we're going to have to do something? I don't know. I haven't been to heaven yet, and I don't know what God has, but I suspect that we have some work to do up in heaven. Right now, we know that everywhere we live, if we want to live in a clean place, we're going to have to clean it up. If we want to send our kids to children, we're going to have to get to school. We're going to have to get up and send our children to school. Do you know how they try to count us out on everything? Mr. Our president right now, he's talked about sending people to Afghanistan. Do you remember how many of us went in every war that we have had in the United States? Black people have fought in those wars, and God have sent us back because God is the one who takes care of the world. God, everything belongs to God. And so let's don't get counted out because we take other people's word instead of reading for ourselves. So since we know how to read now, and we have, all of you have cell phones that give you a multitude of information. We can go to the libraries. We can do something. Do you know that the animals can teach you something? Do you know that the birds teach you? If you get up early in the morning, you can see the birds. God told them to multiply, and early in the morning, they've been scratching for worms ever since the world came, and they still out there doing it. But we people, we want to have something new. We say that we want to be like Jesus. We want to be like Jesus. But have you really thought, do you really want to be like Jesus? Do you know that Jesus never rode in a car? Jesus never rode in an airplane. Every place Jesus went, he walked. Are we too lazy to walk? So do you really think that you want to be like Jesus? And then, at some point in time, men have spit on Jesus. So are you sure that you really want to be like Jesus? So we in our life, we're just going to have to learn and read. And now that we can think, then don't ever forget what he said. If you want wisdom, ask me. So if you have a problem and you're sitting down and you're trying to solve that problem, you go to God and ask him for that problem. Ask him to solve that problem, to help you to solve the problem. We can look at some of the people. Do you know that the man who made peanut butter, he never made anything off of it? But there are people in the world who are rich selling peanut butter, things that a slave or ex-slave made. And so we just wanna take God, since he's trying to count us in, we want to take advantage of that, and we want to be counted in. So I have a little bit of, they used to didn't let us go to the doctor. And so we had to learn things on our own. So one of the things that we used to use, at first of all, my mother and them, they used to give us castor oil. But then later on, olive oil, and we should use virgin olive oil. Olive oil is good for our arthritis. It's good for your voice. And the sweet potatoes, most of us like sweet potatoes. Do you know that sweet potatoes are good for arthritis too? And so, even though we can go to the doctor now, but we still have a lots of home remedies. And one of the things that I don't do and that I should do, in my lifetime, when I was born in Kansas, and Kansas had some very bad water. It had a very bad taste to it. So I got to the place where I didn't drink any water. And so that is one of the things that I neglect now. I don't drink as much water as I should. And then we left Kansas and we went to Mississippi, and they had even worse water than Kansas. And so I got to the place where I didn't drink any water. Well, in the city of Detroit, they have good water, but still I don't drink water. I get up early in the morning and I drink some coffee and everything, and every once in a while I would go and get a bottle of water and drink it. But see, we know some of the things we know that will help us, but we don't do it. It says that if we eat frozen spinach, it will help our blood pressure. We don't want no frozen spinach. We want some mustards and turnips and some chicken and some barbecue and all the other things that's in pork. Barbecue, we all like barbecue. We're not even supposed to be eating pork, but we like it and we eat it. And when we were slaves, that's all they would let us have is the leftovers. Did any of you, I know most of you are not as old as I am because I told you already that I'm 89 years old. So did you know that when people used to work in the packing house, they used to throw the chitlins away. Then they found out that we like chitlins, and now you go to the store, chitlins will cost you $10 or $20 a pail. And they used to have chicken feet. When I first came to the city of Detroit, they used to kill the chickens. You would go to the poultry house and they would kill a chicken for you while you waited. And then they put the chicken feet in a barrel, and people would go there and ask for the chicken feet. And so they gave them to you free. Now, if you go down to the Eastern Market, chicken feet would cost you $5 or $6 a pound. So you see, God helped us in many ways, and He's still trying to help us. So we don't want to be counted out because we are trying to follow somebody else. So since we can read now, I want you to sit down sometime. I want you to put your phones away. I want you to put your Facebook away. While I have a few minutes, let's talk about that Facebook anyway. Do you know that some of that stuff that you guys put on Facebook, you should keep that stuff to yourself. You don't need to tell all your stuff about your husband and about your kids. You don't need to tell it to anybody. You need to sit in your closet somewhere and pray about it. You don't need to put all of that stuff that we put in on Facebook. You know, we need to be careful about what we say. We and us preachers and teachers. I'm a teacher, I'm not a preacher. But us teachers and preachers, you know, sometimes we are at church and we say things that we should not say. We say things that discourage people. Well, Facebook is like that. They have all kinds of things on Facebook. Some things that you shouldn't have. And we think it's funny. I have sometimes somebody puts some Facebook things on my computer. I have a tablet too. I like to play words with friends, but somebody put somebody on there. They had a little girl and she was dancing and she was cursing and all of that. Well, her parents probably perhaps think that that's cute. That is not cute. We are responsible for our posterity, just like the white people are responsible for those kids that they are teaching these kids to hate black people or to hate other nationalities, Mexicans or whatever nationalities. God is holding you accountable for teaching your children. And you should be careful. You don't want to teach your kids the wrong thing. I don't even want my kids to go around naked. I never, even when I was very poor, I never wanted my kids to be raggedy. And I never wanted them to be dirty. I would wash twice a week to keep them from being dirty. But I never wanted them to have on raggedy clothes. And so I learned how to go to the secondhand store or somewhere else, and I learned how to sew. And I can't sew now because I can't see how to thread the needle. But anyway, we have, you know, God, he really brought us from a long ways. We look back and we think about all the stuff and all the things. Yeah, we was poor. We didn't have nothing. But do you know when we didn't have nothing, we were a lot better people than we are now? Now I hate to hear the news that some kid has taken some old lady's or some old man's car and is driving it down the street going 100 miles an hour. He already know and you already know that the police will be chasing him in a half a minute. And then the next thing you know, he'll be up going to prison or he's in court and he wants his mother or whoever to come down to court because now he's scared. He's thinking about what's going to happen to him. Or do you really think about it? Because I started thinking that some people don't mind going to prison. It seems like they think that it's a vacation. And so we just want to do better. Since we have education, we have a lot of educated people in our family. We have a lots of kids. By the way, Wayne State is saying that they need black people to come to Wayne State. So, you know, the city of Detroit has been a black city. And so we need some of our kids to go to Wayne State. I know that you can go to U of M, and I know that you can go to lots of other places. And I know that you can go out of state because we all want to go somewhere. But we need to think about Wayne State. Wayne State is a good school. In fact, I graduated from Wayne State, so I'm promoting Wayne State. So we want to make the president the president. We want to make him happy, and we want to send some of our children to Wayne State. Even though they get scholarships and they get scholarships to go somewhere else. Our mayor in the city of Detroit said that he was going to give some scholarships to kids. So why not use them in the city of Detroit? So, as I told you, today was my daughter's birthday, my youngest daughter's birthday. We are not going out to dinner, but I bought her a birthday cake. And so I will see you in the next 2 weeks. I will see you on We Can Read Now.